Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign here in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Jess Navarez. Ladies, how y'all doing? What's poppin'? Happy Tuesday.
You know what I need?
What?
You know what I need?
I don't want to know.
What?
What?
To wake up.
Oh,
Wake
you need
up!
to wake up. Oh,
Yeah. That's
look at Chris being on it.
He's on it. He knew.
You're on it, Chris.
Yes,
I love that.
it's raining.
It's time to wake up.
It's nap time.
Yes,
This is nap weather.
Yeah, I went to a bachelorette this weekend. Shout out to my best friend. She's getting murdered.
That's dope.
Yes, I love
Y'all didn't nap,
loves.
though, did y'all?
Huh? What you say?
Y'all didn't nap, though, did y'all?
I did take a nap because I'm over 30. And,
You couldn't hang.
I
Did
can.
everybody take a nap or was it just you?
We all took a nap.
Well,
guess what?
Including
That's my
Condo.
kind of bachelorette
You
party.
know something? We ain't taking no naps up in this.
Yeah, because it's football starting.
It's football starting. Let's go. All right. We got a chance to hear from Brian Schottenheimer last weekend. Of course, it was rookie minicamp. Not a lot of practicing going on just because of the weather on Friday, but we did get a chance to see the guys up close and personal on Saturday. But I want to start with the new Schotty culture. It's a little different. Just in practice, like the vibe was high. You saw Schotty going up to different players, pretty much all of them, giving them handshakes. It just felt, I don't know, y'all. It feels like it's trending in the direction that, of course, Jerry, Steve, and all those guys have been talking about that they wanted. So from what y'all heard from the press conference, what stood out to you about this new Schotty culture here in Dallas? I'll start with you, Jess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Take it away.
Hi, guys. I need a nap so bad. Yeah, so what I really liked about what Schotty said is the more, overall, the more he talks, the more bought in I'm becoming to him being this head coach. He's so well-spoken, and just how real he is and genuine and authentic when he's talking. And I liked his 3 C's, getting the guys comfortable, caught up, and connected. I love that. And there was just a really big emphasis on the connection. You even hear that echoing through this rookie class as well, is they're building on relationships. And that's something that Schotty even said when becoming the head coach, was it's all about relationship building to him. I remember in Schotty's introduction press conference, Dak was sitting behind me, and Schotty was talking about building those connections and the relationships. And Dak goes, hell yeah. So it's definitely something that I think Schotty has already instilled. And what I loved the most was John Machota's question about not changing. And kind of like, hey, you were already here before. Now as a head coach, kind of what's the flip? Is there a flip? And Schotty said, I promised myself I wouldn't change. I've seen people that have done that. And of course, he was respectful and said, I'm not naming names. But I promised myself I wouldn't do that. And if he can hold true to that, I really think he's going to be a successful head coach as far as getting a nice culture that is actually connected together.
Yeah, a lot of things stood out in the press conference. You mentioned the 3 C's that stood out. Nicole, you mentioned him being very present on the field, doing drills and things like that. And that was something he talked about in his presser, is that getting to touch the grass is what this is about, and being on the grass is what this is about. I think people are very encouraged by his approach thus far, and I think he's winning people over because he's so detailed. You learn something every single time he speaks, but he's also very authentic. And when you look, I heard the word maturity a crap ton. Like, I was like, okay, maturity. And I think that is something that we have seen even in your interviews and Tommy's interviews, Patrick's interviews. You guys speaking to these rookies coming in, is so many of them exemplify a level of maturity and understanding of what it is to be a professional already. And I think this install is going to go smoother because of that. But the maturity part of it stood out to me because I think they are looking for guys to kind of reestablish the leadership values in the locker room and to kind of reset the locker room. So for the guys you've lost and things like that. So I had to temper myself. I told the girls before we came on, I said, listen. I'm starting to get that tangle. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
starting to.
I'm mixing the Kool-Aid over here.
I'm starting to. But when you start looking at the roster defensively, the coaches, the things like that, they're not that far. I'm a drink it.
Gotta drink that
Absolutely.
The red kind too.
Oh, that's
I'm
the
more of a
best kind.
grape girly.
You're a grape.
Did you
girly?
ever have the invisible? Did you ever have the clear one?
Come on.
Oh,
Did you ever have the mystery one?
You scaring me.
There used to be. They came
I'll
out
do
with like.
mystery, anything. It's
Let me.
scary.
I'm
not-
showing my true colors.
I'm too
today.
anxious.
Let me listen.
All right,
Team
fine.
red.
Red Kool-Aid, we'll take it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sis.
But no. But leave me alone. But I think that the gentleman they brought in, especially like the first 3 picks, this is them trying to shift the locker room to feel like what Schotty wants to be an extension of him. You already have some guys like that, but now you can kind of bring some of those guys up. So I'm trying to stay a little calm, but I'm getting football excited. I ain't gonna lie.
I also think, in terms of generational, I think Schotty is more. I'm not calling anyone old. Don't get all mad at me. Like, we're millennials over here, but I think this is more of a millennial-led team, and that's just like a very different kind of leader. And the millennials are known for having their boundaries and being healthy, and first and foremost prioritizing mental health and the mentals of it. And I think the way Schotty is leading and getting these leaders, it's like a younger leadership core that's, hey, you don't have to build your time up here to become a leader. I want you to walk in and already be one. More so by example, I feel like he's not calling upon anybody to be a certain leader. It's what are you doing? And you're going to prove yourself as a leader. But the way he's handpicking them, they're all that way. They're all taking initiative. They're all going to do their homework without being asked to do their homework. And so I think when you're talking, Nicole, to go back to your initial question about what a Schotty culture is, it's initiative, it's leadership, and it's not waiting around for your opportunity. It's understanding what's in front of you.
And it's a grind work ethic mentality here as well. I loved what he said about just there's so many guys with different stories, right? You have a Savone Rebel who had to battle injury and adversity from high school, not having the grades and COVID year and going the JUCO route. Then you have a guy like Tyler Neville who had to battle a lot of health things as well. So there's so many different guys that, like I said, have stories, but it's made them who they are. And he said we need guys like that because those are the ones who push us, to be greater. He said they push him as well. So I thought that was unique as well, Aisha.
And they gonna push some of these players on this roster already.
Hello. Like
And that's another. You skipping? We
nah, I want to go.
We about to go there.
Do it.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean,
into it.
I think they're gonna push some of the gentlemen on this roster. I mean, even when you look at a Revel, I know that Patrick Walker of Dallas Cowboys reported that he was cleared to break and cut. At this point, first of all, it's insane to me how far ACLs have come. And I'm not going to go off on a rampage or anything, but it is crazy to me how quickly these guys can get back from these injuries. But I do think there are some gentlemen in that cornerback room that, with his work ethic, like you said, having to go the JUCO route, a lot of things are understated as far as how much COVID derailed a lot of these young gentlemen's careers and how they had to pivot. He's been through the fire, and he's going to carry that with him. And I also know Eberflus's system wants corners that tackle. So if you ain't willing to do that, yeah.
Door.
Yeah.
My guy was talking about, he said in the interview.
Not the door.
Savone said he was trying to sneak in on reps at practice, y'all.
He got us.
I love that.
You're nuts.
Well, I don't love that for
Are you
himself,
okay?
but I love that for his drive. Like, that
I know.
shows you he wants
Pop
it.
him.
Yeah.
Somebody pop him.
Someone go just.
Pop him. Pop him. You ain't supposed to be doing that.
Right?
What you
Heck
doing?
no. No,
But that
right.
reminds me of who?
Yeah.
That reminds me of another guy that's battled with injury that we're hoping can come back and be healthy. Marion Overshawn.
Man.
We saw his work ethic in this point of this, like in the off seasons, looking at him on the field, pushing himself, trying to get all the extra reps, toe up when they wouldn't let him go out there more in preseason. That's the type of energy I think that this coaching staff is looking for too.
Yeah.
To answer your question about the who, I need that entire tight end room.
Wake up!
Be on notice.
Wake up!
Like,
Hold up.
we kind of talked. Oh yeah.
Wake up! There we go.
There. And we talked about this last week a little bit.
Yeah.
Was it last week? Well, we talked about it. I don't know.
Talking
Recently.
about a lot.
Time is meshing together. We understand Jake Ferguson was going through the injuries and all of that, so I expect a good bounce back from Jake. But the rest of that entire room. When you have a guy like Tyler Neville, you were just talking about Nicole coming in here, who his first answer was, I want to get better at football. And he's been through every kind of medical adversity. If you look up his story, I mean, even just to get through that tells me he knows how to persevere. That tight end 2 spot is pretty much wide open at this point,
Hello.
and nobody is safe to take it, right? So for me, when you look at a position group of the who and who is coming for heads, I don't remember who said that. Somebody said they were coming for heads.
Sean Holden.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, we
But
talked about him last week.
I feel like that's the mentality of this rookie class. They're not going to hold back from wanting to take somebody's job, and nor should they, because that was the point of getting this new leadership, this new culture in, is not being, laid back of, oh, okay, well, there's nobody else in this room, so it's mine. Nope, not with this rookie class. You are not safe in your position, and I think that's going to really put that competitive edge.
But hold on, before we keep, because we're going to dive more into that in the second segment. Real fast, before we take our first break. When y'all, because I wasn't here for the transition into Mike McCarthy era here, I want to ask y'all, did y'all feel this way with McCarthy going into that first year, or does this feel a lot different from when McCarthy was going into his first year as coach?
I mean, like, we weren't in the building at that point, but I can say, from a fan perspective, it was time for McCarthy to come in, and I remember that not being the sexy hire either at the time, and there was a lot of backlash, but the biggest thing McCarthy had was, well, he has Super Bowl winning experience, right? So at that point, that was kind of what everybody was hanging on to. And I think at that point a culture change was much needed, but I can't compare really because I wasn't in the building. I can say from a fan perspective, it was just kind of like, it's time for a new head coach, period. Like,
Yeah.
we don't really.
y'all was here. Maybe I'm tripping.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
And that's what I would agree with. I think we're more excited about there needing to be a change and there being a change
Right.
than necessarily
Who it was.
And furthermore, I was excited, but like she said, we weren't in the building. Yeah. But I also had some skepticism because of some of the commentary prior to Mike McCarthy getting hired and some of the omitting and some of the other stuff. So I was like, we don't know what we're really going to get, because at that point he hadn't been, if I'm not mistaken, he hadn't been coaching. Or was he coming off of the head coaching job right away? No. He had kind of been out the mix for a while, so there wasn't really any tells about what type of coach he was going to be. We were going off of what he was before.
And you also have to look at where Dak was in his career at that point too. So having come off, working with Aaron Rodgers, I know there was excitement about that aspect.
Oh yeah, the QB school.
But I know there was also questions about, culture and all of that with him coming in as well. Seeing how it played out, it is what it is. But I do think, to answer your question at the time, everybody was just itching for a new head coach, and the fact that it had happened was the celebratory in itself.
So it didn't feel like this. To answer your question, it didn't feel like this.
It didn't feel like this, right?
This feels a little bit more clear.
Because back then, you were just like, every year was like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And then it happened. But this is more of a, I feel like, turning the page actual reset than that was.
Well, let me ask y'all this. How, compared to how y'all felt originally about this Brian Schottenheimer hire, how has it changed up until now that it's been a couple of months? You've heard his philosophy, you've heard what he wants to do here, what he wants to change, how you believe he will be coaching. How has that changed from when he first got hired, from your perspective, until now?
Oh, well, for me, for me, I it's just like putting stats to film. Right? So we got to see the draft. We got to see their mindset. And so obviously he had been talking about what they wanted to do and some of the stuff they wanted to do. The coaching staff gave you some clarity. Okay, they really want to run the ball. They got 2 of the best offensive coordinator type guys, running scheme type guys in this coaching staff now. You upgraded to me at the wide receiver coach position. D-line, Eberflus is in here. Okay, see the plan a little bit. Now, then they draft. You see guys kind of fit the scheme that you see that they've been talking about they want. Yeah. And now post-draft, he's really still echoing the same things, but these guys think that they got some steals in the first 3 rounds. And so with that, it's like, okay, you had a plan. Seems like you executed it the way you wanted to, and now we get to see you put it into motion with OTAs, rookie minicamp, and we're gonna keep getting more information. But I think I feel validation and feel better because it's not just talk. There's action being put with it, with what they can control right now, and then we're gonna have to see it on the field.
Hello.
But yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I always liked Schotty. Like, that was, honestly, when it was announced that he was interviewing, I was like, oh, there's your next head coach. Like, it was just such an on-brand hire. But it is risky. It's still risky because you've yet to see football be played, right? You don't know what a first-year head coach who hasn't been a head coach is going to look like until it happens. So for me, it's still to be determined a little bit, Nicole, but I also think so far what the foundation he's laying is something that I am going to like. However, playing devil's advocate here, what I don't want, and he mentioned this in his presser, was he also knows how to discipline, because I don't want to start teetering that line of, is it to friend compared to coach? Like, there needs to be a good ratio of friend and coach, or mentor and coach. And so I was a little worried about that with Schotty coming in.
Yeah,
but
they love him.
He did mention, like, yep, nope, I also know how to lay down the line and discipline. So I think that's where the respect aspect already comes from him. So TBD. I want to see football played, and then I'll give you a better answer. But I think the foundation is great so far.
All right, well, we're going to take our first break. But up next, I want us to dive into who these draft picks and undrafted free agents could possibly light a fire under in these position groups. All right, we'll be right back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbers, pot pie, and potatoes, and next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Do it for confidence on and off the field. Do it for you. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Don't wait. Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The 60th Academy of Country Music Awards are returning to the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco on May 8th. Enjoy live performances from Lainey Wilson, Blake Shelton, Eric Church, and more. Don't miss this celebration, 6 decades in the making, all hosted by entertainment icon Reba McEntire. Tickets are available now at SeatGeek.com. Yeehaw.
Yeah, I was wondering what the hustle and bustle
That's my
was
kind of
about.
hangout. But, like, yeah, I need to go to SeatGeek.com
That part.
to get
Get your
tickets.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
CP Clutch for all the tickets. All right, welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. Nicole Hutchinson, Aisha Morrison, Jess Navarez. What is this?
Her lighter.
It's a fire.
She's sick.
Because we're lighting a fire.
You know what?
It's
All right. Okay, let's break it down. Which part do y'all want to start? Offense or defense first? Which y'all?
What do you feel
razzle
like?
dazzle. Well, I wanted to, add a little razzle dazzle.
Let's
Our offense
Any,
first.
mini, miny,
let's go.
do offense.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
offense
do
first.
offense
Since that's the
Let's go.
one
All
we're
right.
most stressed about.
Fires lit.
Jaden Blue. Who is Jaden Blue going to light a fire under in that running back room?
Deuce Vaughn.
Why?
Well, dang.
And Phil, I can't forget about Phil Maffa too, but we'll start with Jaden Blue.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about the running back room is I hate the running back by committee discussion. I don't think that's going to be what happens, but I think in the meantime, you're not going to get a clear view on who. I don't think you see.
I think with this coach, we're going to see it going to be a little more realistically.
I don't think so. Like, honestly, given you don't really see until OTAs anyways, but I think maybe training camp, yes. I think OTAs, you're going to see a little shuffle. And I don't know. But to answer your question, Deuce Vaughn, I think overall, no matter who it is, whether it's Phil Maffa or Jaden Blue, if you're Deuce, you're in year 3. You have not really had opportunity, but when you have, it's been underwhelming. And I don't think that's to his own fault, all of it, but I do think there's a lot of disadvantages that the Deuce has going into this, which is, yes, the tape he's put on film that hasn't been great with his time here, but also, will this new offense be Deuce friendly? And I think that's kind of my question for a lot of these guys and this new chapter coming in, this new Schotty era is, are these Schotty guys that Schotty can still use? I don't know, but I think Deuce overall just really needs to show out, and even then I'm not sure if it'll be enough with the talent ahead of him.
Yeah, I think I believe that this running back room really hinges on Javonte Williams and what they see from him. I think whether he comes out and looks the part is gonna tell me who's gonna be the starter, who's not going to be the starter. And like Jess said, won't know the OTAs. I will say about the scheme, though, and looking at Clayton Adams and how he does things, obviously James Conner got the majority of the reps in with the Cardinals, but what he likes to do on the receiving end, I think, does play into a guy like Jaden Blue's ability and what he can do on the receiving end, also having that actual breakaway speed. Phil Maffa, obviously, is a little bit more of like a power guy. He's pretty steady in pass pro as well, so that's a plus you get from him. I guess the question would be Miles Sanders. Is how I think, weird enough, outside of Javonte Williams, I think the veterans and like Miles Sanders and those guys, I think they are kind of the gentlemen, and Deuce are kind of the gentlemen that are in this weird place. I think this offense is trying to take an uptick in speed and explosive plays because you had very little of those last year. And so if a guy can generate explosive plays, I think that's more so what they're going to be looking for.
It also brings the question about Hunter Lipke, though. Where does he fit in all of this?
First of all,
Stop.
Don't raise my blood pressure.
You're sick. He kind of falls into that tight end, though, because that's how they've been using him. So he kind of has that a little bit more value to him. But I was going back to Miles Sanders. Him and Deuce kind of do things similar. So yeah, it does raise kind of red flags for Deuce, but then you have guys like Phil Maffa who does the same thing as Javonte Williams, right? And then Jaden Blue, I think he's kind of in a league of his own because he's got the speed. He could be an every down back if needed. He just didn't get the opportunities at Texas because of that whole running back room situation. But no, I think that room will be probably, I don't know. Do you think it's going to be like the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Most competitive, I guess. Competitive.
It should be.
room?
If you want to center your offense around the run game, it should be.
Outside of wide receiver, I think it's going to be maybe the most competitive room. You're not going to have a lot of room to make mistakes or be hurt in that room. But do you ladies feel like, as of right now, the running back room got better than it was last year? Because last year it was Rico and we was stressed out.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? Do you feel right now with Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa, Miles Sanders, and Javonte Williams that you feel a little bit more confident about this running back room?
I do. I think it also will depend. My bad. I think it'll also depend on the offensive line too and how they perform. But looking at what Schotty wants, he wants a running back who can create on his own. You have that in Jaden Blue. obviously need a little bit more tape on him, but you do have that potential in him. You have that in a Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. I think it's just strange because they all necessarily didn't get the playing time in 2024 that you would have liked to see, but they're kind of banking on potential right now. So I think they have the potential for sure.
I also think it got better when you stopped going running back by committee and you had your solid back. So I think as long as they don't do that and they decide early in training camp, because all year we were screaming, should have been Rico, it should have been Rico, it should have been Rico since training camp. So I think as long as you have that set plan and you can allow whoever it is to grow as that running back one, get that continuity with your offensive line, with your quarterback, with everybody around. Yeah, I think if you're in that position, you put any running back with any style in a good position to be successful early on.
You don't think that they're gonna do it off of matchup? Because I mean,
they could.
Because that's what some of the better teams, like when I think about the Lions, like they don't just hit you with David Montgomery right away. If they see that if they see you can't tackle on the edges, they're gonna hit Jahmyr Gibbs in the flats over and over and over again. Do we want them to establish like a 2-back set that we are sure about, and maybe one comes out and starts depending on the matchup, and the other one finishes depending on the matchup? Oh, their linebackers are terrible in coverage. Jaden, we're going to use you heavily this week. Are we looking
like
for them to be more?
Punch more?
Yeah, like maybe they establish 1-2 guys that are the guys with a sprinkle of Turpin, because we can't forget about that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, the other gentlemen, they get in where they fit in, but we have these 2 guys that are interchangeable depending on what this matchup calls for. Is that what you're looking for?
I'd love to see it.
Is that okay?
That's maybe what they probably are thinking about doing. That's why they got so many goddamn running backs.
If you're drafting running backs like Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa, which are pretty much 2 opposite kind of backs, that's what it would indicate to me, that's the vision, and I think that's the end goal. I think it's just going to take a little time to establish that as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, let's move to the wide receiver room.
Good talk.
Great talk, guys. Wide receivers. What y'all think? Who will Trayshawn Holden want me to?
He's fun.
Yeah.
He's fun.
Who will Trayshawn Holden put on notice?
Yeah, because he feel a little
We also
slighted.
got Joshua Kelly as well out of Texas Tech.
There's the list.
But I want to start with Trayshawn Holden.
I don't know. I think this team owes it to, obviously they gave up a 4th for Mingo. So they're going to give him the opportunity to show what he can do with Dak Prescott at quarterback. So I don't know if that is going to be, Lord have mercy. I'm looking at 2 lines of wide receivers. I had to go up to the depth chart, and I'm looking at 3. I said, muffins.
That's why I said there's a list.
Yeah, but when I think about the core guys, I think it's CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Mingo,
Kavonte Turpin.
Turpin.
Shotty wants to use him a little bit more.
Yeah,
it's
in Flanoy. And at this point, I think Trayshawn Holden has an opportunity to. I do think Jalen Tolbert is going to end up being your 3. I do. I understand. I know it sucks. I do think he's going to have. He's going to be solid. He's going to have the opportunity. But that's what I was going to ask y'all before the next segment. At the end of the next segment, is this coaching staff going to take the best guy? Or are they going, because we saw Rico, there's multiple times we've seen this guy better than that guy. Y'all seen this? Is anybody seeing this?
I want to know what the time frame will be for this coaching staff, to your point, to say, all right, you're the guy. Because
how long?
It seemed dragged out.
Yes.
Every time you had this kind of competition, it just seemed dragged out. Like, who's your guy? You don't know. Oh, midway through the season, you still don't know. Oh, running back by committee. What is the grace period for these kind of competitions with this new era? That's what I'm curious to see. Do you start seeing it in training camp? How many less preseason snaps do some of these guys get because they know that that's your guy? Like, that's kind of what I want to keep an eye on, because we're so used to having to wait around to know these things to where it's almost too late, and it's been an obvious answer.
And it's been too late.
Yeah.
But it's been too late a lot of the time.
What should be the cutoff then?
Honestly,
if y'all and Brian Schottenheimer, what's the cutoff?
I think
training camp. You should know by training camp. Look at Brandon Aubrey. That was such an obvious, you are the starting kicker. There was no question about it. That was the only position I can think of that was immediate. And yes, it was needed. You needed a kicker, yes. But it should be that easy because you should see the difference, and you do in these other position groups. I would just go back to the running back room last year.
Yeah.
You saw it was Rico. You knew it was Rico, and then all of everything else got thrown in the mix with Zeke, and I just think there shouldn't be as much of a grace period. So talking about even Jalen Tolbert, you're saying he could be the 3?
I think he's going to be solid. Like, I don't know if he struggles to get off a press. He's not a speedy guy. I think him being a number 2 is not ideal. And it depends on if they still go shopping.
And it depends on if this development program that they have designed for each singular player that Schotty was talking about is actually working too, because you just never know.
And you have to remember, Jalen Cropper, he's had phenomenal camps back to back. He's been a standout guy who barely lost that competition by a hair. So if you're a guy like Jalen Cropper, whose name gets forgotten about, you're a Jonathan Mingo who's coming in here not really proven, you're trying to bump Jalen Tolbert out of that space. Because at this point, is it his to lose? Is that his position to lose? Is it even his right now? Do you know that?
I don't think we know that. But I just think at wide receiver too, I think I've seen enough to know that that's not going to be it.
Yeah.
But Rashawn Holden,
he coming for heads.
That was
from him.
I think he meant what he said, and he said what he meant.
Absolutely.
And when you look at Tolbert and his skill set, it is similar. I do think he's a little bit sharper, getting off of press and in his releases. We're gonna see. What you think?
He brings an edge too about him in his play, on the field, on and off the field specifically, that could complement CeeDee Lamb in that room.
And that's something that's actually something that Tolbert had in him coming in.
What happened?
But it's like it lost its flair his first year, and that's why we're talking about Tolbert in this way. That first year, you don't have that time in this league, and to have no production really that first year, I think really kicked him behind a bit. But I will say with Junior Adams coming in as the wide receiver coach, baby, we talk about it all the time. New training staff, new sponsors, new people who care about you, and Rashawn Holden really has a relationship with Junior Adams. I think he's going to bring out the best in him. We'll see.
You also go back to the 3 C's, connection, and you're talking about, Nicole, that connection could be there, those 2 dogs that you need. That could come a long way with the Schotty era, too. We're talking about what the Schotty era is. It could be, hey, you might need some more developing, but I like the connection you're bringing with the wide receiver room. We just won't know until time comes, but... Man, that interview was fun to watch. I was hype. I was like, coming for heads. All right.
He a dog.
He pumped me up. Yeah.
You need that. You need that.
Let's move on to the tight end room, ladies.
Don't get me
What y'all think? Who is on notice?
Everybody.
Oh, my goodness.
Except Jake
Aside
Ferguson.
from Jake Ferguson.
Everybody in
Everybody in the club.
All right, who's on notice? Anybody?
Luke Schoonmaker is just the first, and I think the obvious one. I think John Stevens Jr. gets... the pass because of the injury. And he's somebody that I have high expectations to come back and have a great showing, because I know last year he was really down on himself with the performance he gave pre-injury. So talking about having that dog in him, I need that dog to come out, and I need to be like a pit bull. Like, I need to see that day one when he's cleared to play again. But Luke Schoonmaker, man... I mean, when you see these new rookie draft class guys coming in, and you see the hunger and what's the word I'm looking for? The drive to want that job. I just feel like Luke needs to have that same competitive edge to keep his job.
And he has to stay healthy through camp.
Yes.
That's going to be a huge upside for him, because that's what has put him behind the 8 ball the last couple of years, is that he's been injured in camp. I do have some questions. The tight end room, to me, is also contingent on how they view Hunter Lipke. We talked, like you mentioned earlier, we talked about last year. I remember him even telling us in the locker room, telling me specifically in the locker room, that he has taken tight end type reps. Now, I think this offense is trying to take an uptick in speed and get into the second level and explosive plays. Hunter Lipke obviously has gotten the blocking experience and understanding, being an extension off the offensive line. But he has receiver-esque qualities, but has good size to do some tight end things. Do they view him in a fullback capacity, or are they considering having him do more tight end things? Because I think he's built at this point. If I'm Schotty, he might have built more trust at this point than even a Luke Schoonmaker has, especially as a blocker. With Brevin Spann-Ford, obviously he was one of the higher paid UDFAs last year. He was brought in for his blocking. He wasn't as clean as I thought he would be last year. Maybe he makes an uptick, but I think when you talk about your guy Tyler Neville, I think he was specifically bought here for blocking and the toughness he displays in blocking 6'4", 248 pounds. He can struggle on the edge with some of those speedy edge rushers, but that's something I think he can get help with. He's been brought in for blocking as well. And then you get into what is this gentleman's name? I'm not gonna mess it up. I got it. Fairweather. Yes. You get into Fairweather, the tight end out of where's he from? Oh yeah,
Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn. Out of Auburn. There's some excitement there with him because of how he's kind of a bulldozer in the open field. He'll dip his shoulder and go through you. The blocking as well. It's not always sure, but it is something he is willing to do.
And hear me out. Will this offensive line need that extra help? Because last year they consistently needed extra help with tight ends. So
and you can't afford that. That's a fantastic point because there's a lot of you were running 11. You were running.
Oh my gosh!
You were running 11 personnel, a crap ton because you had to help out your tackles.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to help out your tackles as much, because I do think that Terrence Steele is a gentleman who is going to see improvements in this specific scheme. If you can cut out having to have that security all the time over there, and you can get another tight end out in receiving space.
Yep.
I'm picking the best one that can do that.
Yeah. I think if
you petty.
I like this.
If this draft,
what you got?
Tyler Booker comes to front to be what he's supposed to be, and you have a conducive and a great fitting offensive line that is doing what they were here to do. And Tyler Smith is excluded from this. You shouldn't need the security blanket from your tight ends.
Not as often anyway.
It depends on what you're calling, obviously. But I think every play, that was a lot. And that could even help a Luke Schoonmaker where you're not getting your body beat every single play to where you have to worry about the pass pro or just protection in general.
Yeah, we got to see improvements from the tight end room. I mean, it took away from, obviously you had to use them for blocking, so that's not something they can control, but it took away from the different sets you could use, the personnels you could use, and your quarterback needs to be able to depend on it. And Lord have mercy, Jake Ferguson needs some help. Mm-hmm. And it's long overdue for him to get some steady help. So,
all right, we're going to take our second break, and we're going to talk defense up next in our last segment. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Do it for confidence on and off the field. Do it for you. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Don't wait. Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy Calvin. This stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbers, pot pie, and potatoes next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
This weekend is bringing the After Hours Till Dawn Stadium Tour to AT&T Stadium on August 27th and 28th, or the weekend. I'm sorry, I'm so tired. Catch the all-new show in support of the full album trilogy with Playboy Cardi and special guest Mike Dean. Get your tickets today at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
Did you just say you tired?
Girl.
Wake up!
Girl, it didn't
It's
work.
time to wake up. We still got 5 minutes left in the show.
It didn't work.
She got this.
You know what's going to wake me up?
What?
You know what's going to wake me up?
No.
Talking about the linebacker group. That'll wake me up real quick.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go linebacker room. Wake up! That too.
Thank you.
That helps wake people up as well.
You already
All right.
know our boy Mike, I
Go
think
for it.
that's his name in the comments, is going to have something to say about Nicole's wake up. So, Mike, that's for you.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, Shamar James and Justin Barron. Who are they lighting a fire under in that linebacker room, if anybody?
So Shamar, to me, in the film that I watched from him, he does give you, if DeMarion Overshown's not ready to go, he gives you that kind of crazy, hair on fire, let me play free, let me go tackle type, come downhill, want to work in the box type vibe. It's like type vibe.
Yep.
Makes a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe he is able to work himself into, I know he's going to be a special teams guy, but maybe he's able to work himself into being in the, in the running for that spot and to be able to do some overshown things with his absence. Jack Sanborn is a gentleman that they, brought in. I think he's going to start. I think him and Marist are going to be maybe your starters. And I just was asking Beamer about Kenneth Murray because I'm not sure about his speed, and it sounds like Beamer isn't as well, but he's confident in his coaching staff. Now, Damone Clark is the guy, and I know, Jess, you want to talk to him. Damone Clark finally getting some other veterans in this room, getting some other youngins in this room. How is he going to fit if he can, make the roster this year and continue to grow? Because I think he was kind of stifled last year with this new staff, previous staff coming in.
I think if anybody needed a culture change, it was Damone Clark.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, if because of his stifling last year, if that put him a little too far behind to where now his spot's in jeopardy. And I hate that. But I do think if anybody, there's one person I can think of that will benefit the most from a brand new staff, brand new minds, fresh eyes, it's going to be Damone. It's just up to him at this point what he does with that opportunity, how he wants to show out. And I saw him, at the Arlington Renegades' first home game. Him and a bunch of the guys went out there to go support some of their old teammates and whatnot. Talked to him briefly, and he seemed excited about the changes as well. So all sounded positive, all sounded good. But to be honest, it's really hard when you have this room now with, you're talking about leaders and people that, look, we're sitting here talking just overall, you're looking at this list about guys like Jack Sanborn. You're talking about guys that have already proven those dogs in them. I want to see that from Damone, and I just don't know if he has the level of dog that some of these other guys will, especially like Demo coming back from injury. Like once he comes back in, that shifts things again.
Real fast, since we only have 2 minutes left. Sad. Cornerback room.
Oh, Lord.
Savone Rebel, Bruce Harmon, Elijah Clark, Mike Smith, Zion Childress out of Kentucky.
Honestly, I would. For me, it would be, I think, with Revel and how he's progressing. I know it is going to take a little bit of time before he is like 100%. We probably won't see him his best self until several months in the season. But I will say, Caitlin Carson, I need you to have to come on with it. You're going to have to come on with it. And I'm talking based off of this scheme and what Eberflus likes, you going to have to come up and tackle. You're going to have to be able to press. Do I think they're going to get a lot of help from their pass rush this year that I think is improved? Bam, bam, yes. But, yeah, because like Eberflus' system is not going to be flashy and changing into a whole bunch of disguises. He wants you to be better than the guy you lined up in front of.
Yeah.
So, you better come on with it.
And know you better.
Can somebody please ask them, what is Israel Mukwamu in this system?
No, really.
No, I'm serious. I'm not joking.
Yeah, no,
I'm not joking. Like,
That's a fair
when we
question.
get the chance, because that's going to give us information. Because if they're looking at him as a boundary corner, as he was drafted as, or a nickel corner, whatever, then that changes the conversation. And then, Kaylin, you really better come on with it.
I really feel like Kalen, though, and I'm not trying to make excuses.
No, he
for
was
him.
injured.
He was
I get-
dealing with a shoulder injury, and it was lingering. Like, I will say, it threw him off, and even I feel like mentally, from conversations him and I had, I feel like it became more of a mental thing from being afraid of, like, further injuring the shoulder. So I think you see a different version of Kalen Carson than you saw last year. I think you see a healthy Kalen Carson, which is important, but he has to mentally get that dog out. Like, we're talking about who let the dogs out. Kalen Carson needs to let the dog out.
Yeah.
Bland needs some help.
Yeah, please.
Who?
Ron Bland needs some help.
I mean, then your safety's got to
You
play
mean
better,
that
too.
anything but Bland
But
needs some help?
I do think Donovan and Micah,
Nobody can be Bland.
Micah and
That's
Osa, they gonna make things easier for your young secondary or
And-
guys coming in.
We're going to talk.
We're gonna talk about it. I know I wanted to talk about it because
We're going to wait till next week. It's going to get good. Can't wait for that one. All right. It's been great. Friday Morrison, Justin Tavares, Nicole Hutchison will be back here next Tuesday.
what?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday. It's a wrap for Girls Talk.
Oh my God! What you?
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?